Brian Kelly. They have a massive game this weekend against Texas A&M. Coach, I do want to talk about that in a second, but before we move forward, just some final thoughts on the game against Vanderbilt in Nashville.
Well, you start with we didn't get the outcome we wanted, so we're disappointed certainly in the outcome, and that's that's what the SEC is about. These games, whether it's Texas, Kentucky, Auburn, Missouri, Georgia versus Ole Miss. I mean, I can go down the road. These are hard-fought games, especially on the road. And credit to Vanderbilt, they played extremely well. We had 49 offensive possessions. We need to make the most of every one of those, and we did. We turned touchdowns into field goals, and they had touchdowns, and that ultimately was the difference in the game. When you're limited to 49 offensive plays, it's like playing triple option. You got to be better, and we weren't good enough, and that's why we didn't come up with the outcome we needed.
Coach, your defense has been the mainstay of the football team. I realize Vanderbilt is a different type of team to defend, but how would you assess what the defensive side of the ball did on Saturday?
Well, it wasn't our best performance. And look, we take no excuses for who was in or who wasn't out of the game. That's the SEC. You're going to get banged up. You're going to lose key players, and the next guys have to step up. But we didn't play with the same emotion, energy. You got to play this game understanding that every possession matters, and you got to bend players back. There's got to be a physicality, and at times, we weren't fundamentally in a good position. We had some great calls that would have put us in really good situations, but they got a really good quarterback. Diego Pavia was outstanding on the day. He made things happen, and we paid for it ultimately.
Coach, there's no time to wonder or worry about what happened. It's now about Texas A&M, which I think everybody knows is undefeated, and what they have done. Just how would you, when you see them on film, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of that, what do you see?
Score a lot of points. Just take the Arkansas game, for example, the Notre Dame game. They're winning in a different fashion, right? They've had great defenses. Last year's, I thought, was an outstanding defense, but they're putting points on the board. They've been in the 40s several times now, but they also can win, keeping the points down. I think they had a one-score game against Auburn. So it's a team that can win either by their offense or their defense, depending on how the game is going, and that's why they're one of the top teams in the country.
Offensively, they have a lot of weapons, of course. And last year, you had to deal with the quarterback change, and I realize this is a little different this year, but just assessing Marcel Reed and everything they have, especially literally across the board.
Yeah, Paul. Last year he was brought in as a change-up to run the football, and we did not do a very good job, obviously, in stopping him from running on us. The change in quarterbacks during the game, did not bode well for us. We know what he can do, but he's added to that. He's a much better quarterback at throwing the football. He's got a great cast of receivers, two of the most physical running backs in the SEC. And so I think this is much more about a complete player, a guy that can run certainly, but throws it quite well as well.
Coach, as far you have what you want, primetime night game in Tiger Stadium, and I know you've been there before, and words don't really matter at a time like this, actions do. But what is going to be the message all week, and what do you need to see from your team to get a different result?
Well, like I said, we've been on the road twice, and came up short, both instances in close, hard-fought games. We got to turn the tide at home. We've got to be able to play it a much better game for 4 quarters where we complement offense and defense. Our defense would play well for a little bit, and then our offense would play well. We've got to put both sides of the ball together. If we do that, we're going to have a great opportunity to win this football game. And so playing at home at Tiger Stadium against the number 3 ranked team in the country, there's no need to pep talk your guys. They know what they need to do. They know what they want to do for themselves, their families, and our fan base, quite frankly. And that's why this is going to be an exciting game for our football team.
Coach, I know this next question is a little tricky because you're dialed in on this next game, and I'm asking you now to be a philosopher about college football, because we are at the midpoint and everyone is saying the same thing. We've never seen a season like this. Could you help us understand just the whole body of work of the college football season. I realize you're concentrating on yourself, but you're part of it, and we're all shaking our head at everything we're seeing.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Paul. Yeah, my focus has to be on our team and getting them to that next level and that next step. It's the responsibility that I have to our fan base, to all those that follow LSU football. But I will say this: look, Indiana's number 2 in the country. Texas Tech was a top 10 team. Vanderbilt's a legitimate top 10 team. Teams understand, and programs and universities understand that now that with the opportunity to revenue share, you can strengthen your rosters. And look, that's not to minimize the fact that you can't have traditional programs that are developing their players through recruiting, but it has added more to the mix. And that's why you look across the SEC and you see all these games from Texas to Kentucky to Vanderbilt, LSU. They're all tightly contested games, and it has a lot to do with what we're dealing with today. And so, you got to go and make sure that you cover everything with your football team. Every detail matters, because it's going to come down to those fine details at the end of the game.
As you're doing it, and you're in the process, and I know your record has been exemplary. Is it frustrating? Because I'm sure it is. I don't want to answer your question, but the expectations of everyone is so different than maybe it was at one other point, or maybe a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's not frustrating. Look, nothing galvanizes a state or a community better than your football team that is having success. It gives hope. It's entertainment, right? Those that go and watch, concerts and watch football games. This is a way to have hope in their team. And so I clearly recognize the angst and the concern that people have. But I think that, at the end of the day, this is a highly competitive situation now, and in particular in the SEC, where there's a great deal of parity across the board. And, you've got to be able to decide, am I a supporter or not? And our guys will have a chance to make that call. And so, we're going to continue to work on what I can work on, and that is our football team. I got to get them better and better each and every week, and that's the most important thing at this point.
Coach, I always appreciate you coming on Monday. All the best Saturday night, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much. Brian Kelly joining us from